Hi guys, it's Steph from IDRIVEACLASSIC, and today I'm back. I'm doing my, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm doing my 5,000 subscriber video. So earlier this week it's last week on Saturday, I asked you guys if you had any questions about anything at all. And I had over 100 questions, so I've condensed them all down. And in this video today, I'm going to try and cover them all off. Sorry if I forget anything. There's been so many questions, so thank you so much. So we'll kick off with, I had quite a few personal questions. So we'll kick off with that, and then we'll talk a little bit about cars, and then I had some pretty random ones too. So you guys had a lot of questions about things like how old I was, where I lived and stuff like that, and a lot about my car history as well. So I thought I'd kick off and tell you, because quite a few of you asked. I am 31 years old, sadly nearly 32. I feel absolutely ancient, and I live in Yorkshire, and so quite a few people have said, why haven't you got a Yorkshire accent? Well, because I wasn't born here. So I started off down south, I've lived all over, and I came up to Leeds, Met for university, started working in marketing for Bon Marché, really liked it, and I ended up in rural West Yorkshire, which is where I am now, and I absolutely love it. I can't see myself moving anytime soon. It's really good fun. And I've got quite a nice big driveway, so I can fit all the cars on. So what else have we got here? Job stuff. So many of you guys have asked about this, so thank you so much. In terms of jobs, things are still on the fence at the moment. I'm in a really great position that I've been for a few interviews now. I'm through to second stage and final stage on a few things, and I've interviewed for a couple of things that I really want. So fingers crossed, I'll get one of those jobs, because honestly, there's some great opportunities on the table, and I think it's just a reminder that everything happens for a reason, and these things happen because something better is planned. So thank you very much everybody for asking, but as soon as I am employed, I will let you guys know. What did I learn to drive in? What was my first car? What got me into cars? I don't know really. It was kind of a gradual progression through being into vintage stuff and really liking, it sounds really pretentious, being into kind of old tat basically, and it kind of accelerated, and then I wanted a car. I started off, I learned to drive. I did a few disastrous lessons in my mum's Metro, in terms of, you know, when parents teach you to drive. Then I went over to BSM. I learnt with them. I learnt in a Corsa. Worst experience of my life. I thought it was so boring. I thought the car was horrible to drive. I hated it. So as soon as I could, I got my own car, and did it very quickly actually. I bought a Rover 114, and it was a real working example of, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. So it's absolutely rotten, and it was just awful. I don't even understand how it had an MOT on it, if I'm honest. And that got me through to the June. So I bought it in the February of 2009, got through to the June, and in the June I got Martha, who I still have now, and features in my Morris Minor video, as in 10 years of ownership. So I've had her nearly, God, I've had her like 10 and a half years. That's insane. Time has really flown, and I've got a few other cars as well. Quite a few people ask me that. So not all of them you see on camera. So Martha at the moment is off the road because she needs a crank oil seal. B is off the road because she needs some welding. So she's a 1960 Morris Minor, and then I've got a Morris Minor in the garage in bits, which is probably my favourite. And then I've got Jill, who everybody knows because I always talk about her incessantly, and I am definitely obsessed. And that is kind of the cars that I own now. The only car that I've ever sold is a Mark II Golf, and it was definitely not for me. So I think some people are just not wired up for certain marks or certain cars, and I definitely wasn't a VW girl. And it's no slight to anybody who loves VW, it just really wasn't for me. I think I'm just British Leyland through and through, and I think that's how it's going to stay. And I think, you know, it's the cars I enjoy, and you tend to come across the same sorts of people in, you know, British Leyland people don't seem to just own one British Leyland car, and they tend to own several, so you tend to see the same sort of people. And anyway, I just think it's a really nice community, and it's not just about the cars, which I'm going to come on to in a bit. A lot of you guys asked about Jill's MOT, so she passed first time. Yay! Yay! Thank you very much, Ed from Little Garage Classics, for that, because you did some amazing work. So we had a lot done because I said to Ed, look, I've put a really significant amount of money by, and I would like to look at things that we need doing now, things that we need doing maybe in the next 2 to 3 months, and things that you think we'll need doing in the next 6 to 12. So Ed went right through the car for me, and he did a fantastic job. And Jill is now running better than she's ever run before, and she's driving better, she's handling better. Essentially, it's like premium Jill. It's like the ultimate Jill experience. So I'm really pleased about that. What else have we got? How did I get into vintage stuff? I don't really know. I don't know. I just started collecting, and it spiraled essentially, and now my whole house is all vintage, right down to things like the bathroom scales, the saucepans. Absolutely everything in the house is vintage, apart from my television, and it's how I like it, because I have to deal with the modern world all day long. I don't want to deal with it when I come home as well. So yeah, so it's like my dream home basically. I've got everything in it now, but I've been collecting for a long time. I guess the car just came with it. What is my most treasured vintage possession other than my cars? So I know you probably see me wear it in my videos, but as you can see, I've got a ring on there. Can you see it? Yeah. Anyway, that ring was a gift from my aunt, and it's dated. It's dated around kind of your 50s, 60s sort of era, and she gave it to me on my 30th, and I wear it every day. I haven't taken it off, and I got it in Australia, so she gave it to me when I went to Australia, and I ended up travelling around Hong Kong with it, and then I came back to the UK, got it resized, and I got it back on my actual 30th birthday. So I've never taken it off, and it means an awful lot to me, and it's nice because it's like my connection with her, and I've always got it on, and it's such a nice piece of jewellery. People always comment on it, and I absolutely love it. What else? So are all my clothes vintage, or do I make them myself? No, I don't make them myself. They're all vintage. So everything you see from this to this, it's all vintage. I'm just going to adjust myself there. It's all vintage, and quite a lot of my jewellery is as well. And some of my shoes, all my handbags are vintage. I think I've maybe got like 1 or 2 that aren't. My glasses are vintage, so all the glasses that you see me wear, I get them from Dead Men Specs. They're amazing. And yeah, it started as just a few pieces and a mix of reproduction, and then I guess 3-4 years ago I pretty much swapped over to entirely vintage, because I had a bit of an epiphany not long before, well, I guess it was kind of my late 20s. I had this bit of epiphany where I read this thing on the internet about saving stuff for best, and I always saved all my vintage for best, and I just woke up one day and said, right, I'm just going to start wearing it and enjoying it all the time. And honestly, it makes me so happy, because they're such, I love these clothes. I love these clothes so much, and I've got too many. But yeah, it brings me great joy. It really does. What's my favourite music? I could wax lyrical about this all day, but essentially I really like 60s pop, I like disco, Northern Soul's probably my absolute favourite, and I really like a bit of 80s cheesy pop as well. Really reminds me of my friends, because it's what we listen to when we go out. And I got asked what my favourite song was, so it would be a great disservice to the fact that we have it on repeat every time we go out. It's probably Sylvester, Do You Want a Funk, which is an amazing song, and if you've not heard it, check it out. What are my long-term goals, and am I coming to Australia? And these two kind of tie into each other. So my long-term goals are get into the automotive industry on a day-to-day job. I would really love that. IDRIVEACLASSIC to be a success. I would like to, I guess a lot's changed this year, so I guess my long-term plan is, my short-term plan is to make my long-term plan, and one of my long-term goals is to get back to Australia. So as I said, I went just before I turned 30, so I want to try and get back at the end of 2020, because I loved it. So my auntie lives in Western Australia, and we just had the best time, and it's amazing. And if you've never been before, I probably talk about it most days, my trip to Australia, and people must be like, you're an absolute bore, but it was incredible, and I cannot wait to go back. And a couple of other weird questions I had were, what is going on with my shoes? Why do I wear the same shoes in every video? I don't. I do actually vary them, but I'm a bit of a creature of habit. So I really like a flat black kind of loafery type of shoe, and a good fitting shoe as well, so I have a lot of those. And questions about my tights and my socks, and I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to answer those because they're really odd, and I won't be selling any of them either. So now that we've had a little bit of a chat about the personal stuff, I thought we could maybe have a little bit of a chat about my car history. So some of these questions are a bit of a crossover, things like which cars do I own, which cars have I owned. Sorry, there's so many questions. I've tried to condense them down a bit because I did a first record of this video and it went on for over an hour, and I thought nobody wants to listen to an hour, Steph. Shut up, just try and condense it down. So what cars do I own? I've got my 3 Morris Minors and I've got Jill. Would I recommend a classic car as a first car? Absolutely, yes I would, because they're amazing to drive, they're good fun, and they're a really good way to make friends. So I'm not shy about talking about the fact that I was really kind of geeky. I didn't really have any friends. I had a few, but I didn't really have massive amounts of friends. I was a bit of a social misfit, I guess. And then I got the cars and I started going to car shows and I started meeting people through forums, because I'm old and it was forums back in the day, it wasn't Facebook, and Facebook groups and stuff. And now I would say probably 99.9% of my friends are through the car world, and I couldn't imagine my life. I can't even imagine what my life would be like without the cars. So would I recommend a classic car as a first car? Yes, I would, because it's a great way to make friends. It's a good way to fill your social calendar. So many people say they're lonely, but I am going to be quite bold and say that I don't feel that same loneliness that a lot of people feel of my age, because I've managed to make a hobby into such a massive thing, and I would recommend it to anybody because they're just great. Look, they're just great. I could wax lyrical about it all day. Yes, I know they might break down. Yes, I know they might not be reliable. Safety, it doesn't matter, okay? Let's just talk about the fact that they are great for meeting people. They're great for teaching you stuff. And I think it toughens you up a bit as well against hard knocks and disappointment. And it teaches you a little bit of realism as well. So yes, get a classic car as your first car. You will not regret it. Why do I prefer older cars? I guess I've kind of covered it off there really, because it's given me a whole new lease of life and I love driving them. I feel more in control. I hate all these modern cars that have they've had to put cameras in them because the visibility is so poor, and it's just too much for me. It just feels so overwhelmed when I get in them. I hate it. I feel like they've got no personality. I guess, if I bought a supercar, it might have a bit more personality, but how am I going to afford that? I'm not. So when I talk about modern cars, I talk about your everyday stuff that normal people can afford, not your kind of your highbrow stuff. Do people take the mickey? Of course they do, all the time. People always laugh at me, and I've been laughed at in supermarket car parks. In fact, I beached my own car a while ago because I'm an idiot, and this child pointed and laughed at me, and the mum was like, please don't point and laugh. I was like, no, let them point and laugh, I'm an idiot. We drove the ARX, which you saw in the video the other day, to Manchester, and people were sat in their financed modern cars pointing out the window and laughing at us, and I just thought, yeah, so what? It doesn't matter, does it, mate? Have I considered a modern car? No. Although I've seen that they're bringing back that Morris commercial J van, which if I had to drive a modern car, that looks pretty cool. But other stuff that you just see every day, nah, not really. Somebody left me a comment and said, what attracted you to the Metro, known once as the most dangerous car in Britain? And I guess I just really enjoy driving it. It's easy to park. It's brilliantly economical. They are hilarious to drive. They are such a fun car to drive. You can spot them in a lineup like a million miles away. Honestly, when I'm out driving and I see a Metro, I swear I can spot it like nothing else. Like it's like a unicorn on the road. There's none left. So I guess it's the hilarity of the driving experience, the fun of it, how it looks. I love my paprika dash. Like, I love it. I don't think I'd go for a different colour because I absolutely love that paprika dash. I think it's ridiculous. And yeah, I just love it. I just love everything about it, from the way she looks to the way she handles, to the way she drives, to the economy. Everything about Jill. There's nothing I don't love about Jill. if I could have one car for the rest of my life, what would it be? And it would be Jill, which really surprises me because I have a tattoo that says no drive finer than a Morris Minor, and I truly believe that, but I don't know, like Jill has really won me over, and I don't know if it's the amazing heater or the speed or the hazard lights or the double speed wipers. I don't know what it is, but she has really, and I didn't expect it to happen. I always said I'm going to get Jill to run around as the second car, and if something happens to her, something happens, and I've ended up just falling in love with her, which is really stupid. It's a really stupid thing to do with an obsolete car, because you know that love affair is finite. I can't talk about it because it'll make me panic. If I could have a 5-car garage, I would have Jill, number one. I would like a Chevette. I would like a nice setter. I would like, what else would I like? I'd like a Marina, actually, so that's brought me up to 4. And then I would cheat slightly and say a Morris Minor, but what I really mean is all my Morris Minors. So I kind of cheated there, but that's what I would have. My dream car, so I always used to joke that my dream car was a beige Metro, and now that I've got it, I would say that it probably was my dream car. I absolutely love driving Jill, I love everything about Jill, and I would recommend a Metro to anybody. I always used to joke it was my dream car, and actually it did turn out to be my dream car. I love it. And once I got Jill, honestly, I stopped looking at buying new cars. Because I always used to be on eBay and buying sites, be like, oh, look at that, that's nice. But after I got Jill, I was really like, I'm done. That's what I wanted. So I guess, as pathetic as it might sound to some people, and some people will think it's pathetic, I guess Jill was my dream car, and that's not the worst thing in the world, to get your dream car and have kind of obtainable aspirations, I don't think. I love that car. Let's have a look. Car I'd really like to drive. I'd really like to drive the Chevette, so I'm going to keep saying this in the video all the way through. I would like to drive a Chevette. Have you got one? I would really like to feature it. There's one that drives around Leeds. I've seen it. If it is you, please let me feature your car. I think it's beautiful. Has a test car broken down? Yes, it has. And the owner asked me never to mention it in a video or tell anyone. So yes, it did happen, but I cannot tell you which car because I promised that I wouldn't say anything. Most fun car I have ever driven, it was probably that Snuggie. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. It was just such a comedy experience. I've never done anything like it since or before, and I laughed so much that day. I don't think I've laughed that much since. Like, it was such a funny day, and making Ryan push me out of the car park was probably one of the best things ever. What was my favourite car that I've ever tested? So, it's a toughie because I've driven some really nice cars actually. Probably either the Corsair. I loved the Corsair. The Corsair was perfect. The Zephyr, loved Joe's dad's Zephyr. It was unreal. Or the Fiat 500. The Fiat 500 was fabulous too. And what do I want to test next? So Chevette. I want to do a Renault 5. I want to do some micro cars. I would like to do something ludicrously over the top and American. Basically, anything you've got in your garage that you would like to see on iDrive a Classic, if you don't live too far away, drop me a message. I guess probably mid-90s is where I want to be looking at, but anything 50s I would like to get on the channel, 50s or before, which kind of ties in. Somebody asked me if I was going to do wartime vehicles, and I would, but I've not been offered anything yet, and that's kind of how I get my cars as well. So back in the day, I tapped up all my friends and I said, look, can I borrow your car because I'm starting this channel, and everybody was so supportive, and I've never forgotten that. And everybody lent me their cars to test and was so nice, and that's how I got them in the beginning. But now people offer me cars, so I get offered cars most days. Some are amazing, some I just think, what? Like almost brand new things that are 5 years old. Do you want to test this? And it's like, I drive a Classic, not I drive a car on finance. But thank you anyway. How do I get cars? And I've got a few other random car questions. So One of them was Who Films. So it's a variety of friends. So basically I wrote my friends in, they film, and I put it all together at home on my own. And I was asked how I compile the films as well. I do it all on my phone. So I film on my phone, I edit on my phone, and I upload from my phone. I never ever use a computer for any element of it. Am I interested in bikes and trucks? No, sorry. What's my opinion of fast forwards? Do you know what I love about fast forwards actually is how clever people are. So you see people do stuff with these forwards, and I always think, my God, you are so clever because you have done that. And I've always got a lot of admiration anyway for people that modify cars, because it's not something that I am clever enough to do. And I always think you see people do stuff and you just think, God, you are so talented. What are you doing with your life? Just these people do some incredible stuff. And I don't know, I know some people like to see stuff kept original, but I love the beauty of people putting their own stamp on things. If it's done correctly and it's done safely, I love seeing people change stuff and people modify stuff. I think some of the stuff that you see at car shows and that people have done in the garage, it's a real testament to how clever some people are on the quiet, because just some of it is just, it blows my mind. What do I think of the British motor industry? I think we should have bailed Rover out. I think that we need to keep as many manufacturers in the UK as possible, because it's not just the people you see working in the factories, it's people that support in the background, your marketing teams, your operations teams, how it impacts things like logistics. So it's not just the people that work in the factories, it's the people that make the parts as well. Anyway, my opinion is that we do have an awful lot going on in the UK. We like to, and I have no idea why, we like to run our own industry and our own, our own country down, but I think there's some great stuff going on in the UK at the moment, some great innovative stuff, and just because you don't see the brilliant minds working for people like Austin, Land Rover, Jaguar, or like essentially your British Leylings. I know that Jaguar and Land Rover still exist, that was a terrible example. People like Morris, Rover, Austin, just because you don't see them working for them, it doesn't mean they're not working in the industry. And you see some incredible stuff when you start doing a dig. So yes, I think there are brilliant minds, I think there's some brilliant people and some brilliant stuff going on, and I think we just need to be a little bit more supportive of it. Let's have a look. What else have I got? Favourite car. So I guess one of my last questions is what's my favourite 80s car and what's my worst 80s car? So obviously my favourite 80s car is the Metro, and probably my worst is the Mark II Golf, just because I hated mine. I mean, I'm sure that the rest are perfectly good, but I really hated mine, sorry. So that's probably my worst. So I guess the next thing to do is I've got a little section next coming up on random questions that you guys asked me and I've attempted to answer. So I've tried to group the questions in kind of a logical way. But I've also got some weird ones which I've had chucked in. So I got a question about, am I doing a Patreon account? No, I'm not, but I am doing merchandise. So the merchandise will be launching soon. It's 2 car stickers. So if you want to support I Drive a Classic, your best way to go about it is not to donate through Patreon. I'd really like it if you could just buy a car sticker, share my videos, watch the adverts before my videos and not cut through them. And like those few seconds, it benefits me instead of, having to go through Patreon. And what are my favourite crisps? What are my favourite crisps? I don't know. What are my favourite crisps? I'm not really a crisp person. I'm more of a chocolate person. But I guess my favourite crisps are probably those Sensations poppadoms. They're really good. And when I'm abroad, bolognese crisps, which are made by Lay's, they are top drawer. Velocity of a swallow. Look, I can barely do times tables. I'm not going to be able to work out the velocity of a swallow. I'm terrible at maths, so I have no idea what the velocity of a swallow is. I'm really sorry. Earth, is it flat? Of course it's not flat. Why are we even having this conversation? Of course it's not flat. The Earth is round, and there is plenty of scientific evidence to prove the Earth is round. I mean, they didn't make it up millions of years ago. We haven't been functioning as an Earth for millions of years. They didn't make it up hundreds of years ago. Centuries ago, they were like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to set this up to be an absolute internet conspiracy in the future. The Earth is round. Capital of Tahiti. I had to Google this because I thought Tahiti was you know, I thought it was a town. My geography is not great either. It's called Papaete. I could be pronouncing that wrong. If I am, just correct me. But at least I Googled it. My favourite holiday destinations. My favourite holiday destination is more of a holiday type. So every year I go on Mine is on Tour, and it's my favourite holiday in the world. And it's literally just me and my friends, my very best friends, and we all drive whatever clapped out car's working at the time, and we take them on the holiday. The Morris Minor Roller Club organise a bit of a vague schedule. We follow along, and we all turn up at a campsite, and basically we party from the minute that we put out of office on and all the way until we get back off the ferry at the end of the holiday. And it's honestly, I love it more than Christmas. I love it more than anything. Some people really look forward to Christmas. I really look forward to Mine is on Tour. It's my favourite thing in the world. And my last kind of question was, what's my favourite food? And it's curry. I could probably eat curry for every single meal. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed the Q&A. I just want to say thank you to you guys as well, because you've been brilliant. Like, you always comment, you watch the videos, and it means so much to me, because as you know, it's been a pretty hard year, and at times the one thing that's kept me smiling has been IDRIVEACLASSIC and some of the absolute bonkers comments I get, going out and filming for it. So yes, thank you very much for all your support. Thank you for subscribing and watching and commenting and interacting, and honestly, it means the absolute world to me. And I know that sounds really sad, but let it sound sad. I just wanted to know that I really appreciate you guys and appreciate everything you do, and yeah, it means a lot to me. So I guess the last thing to do is to just remind you that if you haven't connected with me already, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all as IDRIVEACLASSIC. I've got a page on each one. So I try and post different content across the different channels, because one of my biggest bugbears is people that just post the same stuff across everything. And yes, anyway, and my last thing, very last thing I promise that I'm going to ask for is that if you've got a car that you would like to see on IDRIVEACLASSIC, please contact me at idriveaclassic@gmail.com, and we'll try and sort something out, because I would love to get more of you guys featured. You all seem to have amazing cars. Where have you all been hiding them? Honestly, some of the stuff that you guys drive is insane. Anyway, I'm rattling on, so I guess all that's left to say is thank you so much again for everything. Like, I never thought I'd hit 5,000 ever in my wildest dreams. I thought the first year maybe I'd hit 1,000 if I was lucky, and when I hit 1,000 I thought, oh my god, the next hurdle is 5. So yeah, it's been a big deal. So thank you so much, and it's back to car content on Sunday. I'm hoping, if I get enough time, it should be the second half of the British Leyland Autumn Rally, which Tom Morley organised and was incredible despite all the rain and all the bad weather. And I guess I'll see you on Sunday. So until then, take care and drive safely.